Just a quick reminder that nothing in this video is considered financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Seek out your own advice and do your own diligence, do your own research.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. Once again, we're out in Myrtle Beach looking at exotic spots, as exotic as I can get as I'm driving around. I'm still working on finding the best locations, but I'm trying to shoot 3 videos in one day to leverage my time. And that's the topic today, is leverage. I wanted to talk about leverage today. Not about leverage buying cryptos, but about leveraging your time and what we can do to leverage those things. Now, I talked earlier this week, I think in the last video, I talked about time and how many hours go into a week that you're spending at your job. How do you get out of that system? Well, one way that you do it is you can leverage your time. Your commute, listen to a video, do some research, something that allows you to work. If you can multitask, where you're kind of like deprioritizing your job. I understand that everybody has a job to do and they have to get things done, but if you're in a position where you can do other things, where you can listen to a podcast or watch a video or learn about certain things, learn how to do a couple things, you can work your way towards an escape route and you can get more leverage for your time. But what I wanted to talk to you about leveraging things is that you can leverage your time in multiple ways. For example, I'm doing it right now. For me to talk to hundreds of people in a face-to-face, one-on-one, each and every day or 5 days a week, it's just not possible. It's not feasible. That's why I think YouTube exists, because I would love to be able to sit down and talk to somebody for 5 or 10 minutes and just explain, hey, here's why Bitcoin, here's why crypto, here's why the system is broken, here's what you need to know. But I can't do that. It's just not possible. It's not feasible. My voice would give out. But a 5-minute conversation, there's only 12 of those in an hour, and there's maybe, if you're lucky, 100 a day. But after talking to 60 or 70 people one-on-one for 5 to 10 minutes, your day is shot. So making videos is a way to leverage your time and reach a broader audience. But if you have to make it conversational, as people were just telling me to do, just like talking to the cameras. If it's you, which I'm talking to one person. So I'm trying to leverage my time and reach as broad an audience in a personal manner, or a personal interaction type dynamic, as best I can. And that's virtually impossible now in any other way but recording a video. The nice things about videos is that I can talk to someone halfway around the world in the middle of the night and I'm asleep, but he's still watching my video, or she is. So that's leveraging my time, reaching a broad audience by just recording it. And then you can watch it again and again. You can come back to it and you say, hey, I remember what Jeff said. LitecoinLeader said this fantastic point. I got to go back and watch the video and find out about it. Or I want to watch that economic series, which, let's see, it's usually this corner right here. Tough to remember when you're doing a live shot, but I think it's going to be right up here. There's like that whole economic series I did, 5 parts, which is over an hour of content of just cramming. That's like years of economics in about an hour and a half. So clearly I didn't touch on everything, but I think the highlights are pretty much there. So leveraging your time. So there's 2 types of leverage. There's leveraging your time, that's a positive. Leveraging your investments, again, this is not financial advice, but that's a risky thing. So if you're like, if you want to invest in something, you're like, man, if I only had, I'm buying 1 Bitcoin, but if I could buy 10, that's like when you buy an option. Like you're controlling lots of stuff, but you don't own it. So if you use leverage to buy cryptocurrency at like 10x, that means your $1 becomes $10, and now your 1 Bitcoin becomes 10 Bitcoin. The problem is that if it goes the wrong direction, if it drops suddenly, goes down 20, 30, 40%, the margin call could kick in and you lose everything. So that is a risky proposition. Most everyone will say, don't do that. Don't go into those sites and get those bonuses, because those bonuses are there to attract you, to get you to sign up for more, because they know that the more people that get involved, the more money that those sites make. So, not financial advice, but most experts would say trading on leverage is a very, very risky proposition, and you probably don't want to do it unless you really know what you're doing and are using like stop limits or like shorts or covered calls, all those different complicated terms, which I don't even do options. It's just not worth the time. For me, it's all about what levels of risk I can handle and which ones I'm comfortable with. And I'm 100% comfortable putting a lot of my wealth into precious metals and cryptocurrencies because I fully understand them and I understand the economics of where we're at in the world. But bringing it back to leverage, the positive leverage. Leverage your time. I love speaking to people. I love speaking to people in all different formats, and this one I'm still developing into because it's started in April. I think I'm doing okay. Leave some comment, feedback down below as I try to remember to say that every time. Comment, thumb up, like, subscribe, share. Please help me grow the channel. We're at 400 people now. I'm trying to get to 1,000. That's the critical point for a YouTube channel. We kind of break over the hurdle at that point when you get to 1,000. So please help me to get there. Leave a comment as well, but let's see what you want to do. And again, I mentioned this earlier, and I'll probably have to cut and paste it again, but this time I'm going to remember, which is that the email list. Go to LitecoinLeader.com, leave a comment, or just do a submit or contact Jeff kind of page, and just say, give me your email address so I can put you in the free newsletter. Free content, it's 100% helpful, or most of it's helpful. I will say it's pretty good email. I'm biased, I write it. But it's once a week. This week, I guarantee it's going to be all helpful stuff. I will talk about some of these videos and the economic series I did last week. But I'm going to be putting as many things in there as I can think of to help you guys out from buying, finding an alternate to another over-the-counter that not many people know about. Two different types of IRAs. How to borrow against your crypto, which brings me to the final segment. So I got all that covered, and then that'll be in the email. But the final segment I want to talk about is the good leverage. How to take cryptocurrency that you own, never sell it. Again, not financial advice, but this is what Michael Saylor would do. So he plans to never sell his Bitcoin. He will borrow against the asset and then use that to live off of. And Mark Moss has covered this very well too. How does that work? Think about the analogy of your Bitcoin is your house. When you own a house, and you need more money, and your house is going up in value, you don't sell the house, you borrow against it. You create a home equity line of credit or take out a second mortgage, something to pull the equity out, recapitalize yourself, give yourself more cash to work with, more capital, so you can go do more things. Now, in this new economy that's being built, Bitcoin is the house. The loans are the new websites. They're your Celsius, your Compound, your Aave, but one I like the most is Nexo, because their margin call is 83%. You can borrow 50% of your Bitcoin. You deposit a Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin is $50,000. They immediately give you $25,000 credit line, which you can borrow against. You can actually borrow against it and buy more Bitcoin if you wanted to. You can do all those things, and as long as your loan to value does not get above 83%, there won't be any problems whatsoever. So you can borrow 50%, they give you that, and as long as Bitcoin doesn't dip so you get to 83%. So an example, let's say you put in $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. You borrow $50,000. As long as Bitcoin stays above, those two Bitcoins stay above 60,000, that's 60 to 50, that's an 83% number, you're fine. So if you think you're at a good point, like when Bitcoin goes up, you can take more capital out. When Bitcoin comes down, you can buy more Bitcoin and add to the pile. And eventually, as Bitcoin goes up and up and up, that fiat loan will get to be less and less of that value that you have. But you can still, you're able to live. You can be able to live off of those loans, and then borrow again in fiat, and borrow again in fiat, and just until the point where you've got so much Bitcoin compared to your loan, it's insignificant. That is what the wealthy do. That is what the elite do. They have property. They have all this real estate. They have all these assets that they borrow against. They have a big principal and a small amount of interest. They could live off the interest or they borrow against it. That's how it works. So that's how to use positive leverage. Again, the negative leverage of trading in with leverage, that's not necessarily a good thing. It's risky. Again, not financial advice. But I wanted to talk about leverage of both crypto, which I'm more than happy to sit down and talk to you about on one of my consults, and that information is in the description. Or just how to leverage your time in a format like this, where I can talk to people like in a conversation that is a virtual one, or a consult that I do where people I do make a living by talking to people on the phone, and people want to book time to me, talk about whatever they want. That could be done there too. Or I get to do speaking engagements like about once a month or so. I will be in Utah on October 1st. I'll be in Texas on October 8th. I'm hearing that I'm probably going to be in California in March. So these things keep popping up. In any event, leverage your time. Find a way to leverage your time. Maximize your utility of your time because you only have so much of it. So that's the message. Time is a critical asset. It's our most precious commodity. Use it wisely. So with all that said, and as I'm losing light, I'm going to close the drawer on the bureau, and I'll see you next time.